What is up, guys? It's Prince Simba. So I've been getting a question a little bit. You know, should I use the Volt or should I use the R9? Which should I use? When should I use it? Long range, mid range, ranked, non-ranked? So I decided, you know what? Let's make a video about this. Let's tackle it. Let's get analytical about this. Let's big brain it, like I always say. Let's talk about mid range, long range, recoil pattern, bullet drop. And then stick around to the end. We're going to talk about my personal preference. So if you want that opinion, stick around to the end. But this is going to be a really cool video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Remember to like and subscribe. Keep that notification bell on in case you guys want to jump by the live stream. It's always fun. I'd love to see you guys there. Chat it up. Ask some questions. And we are going to get into this right now. First thing I really want to talk about is we're just going to talk about straight up the guns and how much damage they do, their velocity of how they shoot, and their mechanics when it comes to hip firing. So, first thing, the base one bullet of an R9 is 11 damage. The base for a Volt, as of its last changes, is a 15. It used to be 16, now it's 15. So the damage gap has shrunk. Very slightly, but it is a noticeable difference. So, now when you have the Volt, you have the 15, R9, 11. But we all know the R9 does shoot, it just shoots faster. It shoots faster than the Volt does. Volt does not have the speed of how it shoots, though it's a little stronger and it's still an SMG, so it is still fast. So the R9 is faster when it comes to shooting bullets out of the gun, which is, you know, kind of an important thing, right, for a gun. But the Volt still has higher damage, but it's just not as fast shooting. Okay? The reload speed of both of these guns is almost about the same. So there's really no difference in that mechanic. I will say though, that I did find and have found that the hip fire of the R9 is a little bit more consistent compared to the Volt. As you can see from this next clip that I'm going to play in the background, the hip fire is just a little bit more consistent when it comes to the R9 than the Volt. This was something I had noticed sort of in my experience of just playing, but when I was actually trying to film this, it was kind of obvious when I was seeing it. So that's really like the gun by gun, just like mechanics to feel its base damage. They're very close in base damage, in speed, in all of that. It's very, very close when it comes to just like the guns base, like numbers and math. They're just very similar to each other. One gun I think is just slightly better in regards to recoil, which we will go into in a little bit, which I think makes it better, and you can capitalize a little bit more on the higher damage of the Volt. When the R9 though is way faster at shooting and means you can one clip someone faster with the R9 because it shoots more bullets just faster, just by the nature of the gun, than the Volt does. Another thing that I kind of wanted to tackle and kind of cut in here and make sure I didn't miss is just the, I guess, one clip capabilities. Basically, either of these guns, the Volt or the R9, with no attachments, no extended mags, the Volt is going to do 210 damage, while the R9 will do 209 damage. No extended clip, just straight up naked versions of each gun. One is going to do 209, which is the R9. The Volt will do 210. And when we look at headshot for a bullet, the R9 is going to do 17, while the headshot for the Volt is going to be 23. So that's the difference there. It's really not a huge difference between either gun, considering the rate of fire of the R9. So the one clip capability is basically the same, just the R9 shoots a little faster. So at close range circumstances, the R9 is just going to pump out more damage. But the damage is going to be still about the same. So going from here, it's basically just going to be how skilled are you at those maybe one clips. I think very experienced players, I kind of put myself in that bubble per se, are going to pump out one clips with the R9. It's just natural. We've been using it since the game came out. It's always been a strong SMG. But I think for newer players or players from the last few seasons or even experienced players, but I mainly think the Volt is going to be a easier gun to pick up for a newer player to Apex or someone that's only been playing for a little bit to pick up and start playing very well with, since the learning curve is way less than the R9. The R9 sounds more daunting, but it is still, you know, I still think it's just faster and better at close range. But the Volt is an easier gun for people to use, which we kind of talked about with the recoil pattern. So kind of goes hand in hand with that. But that's really my analysis, and just kind of wanted to make sure to point out the body shot damage and the headshot damage for the comparison for you guys. I'm sure a lot of you that have clicked on this video have already heard the thing from a streamer, another YouTuber that you guys watch, where it's like, hey, the R9 has a hard recoil pattern to master, Volt's still slightly better, easier to use, the recoil pattern is harder on the R9 than the Volt's just a little bit better, and this and this and this. Okay, so I decided to just go into that, and as you can see in these clips, I'm just testing out the recoil pattern on the rocks. You guys can kind of see that the R9 is more very straight up, and then kind of moves side to side at the very top of the recoil pattern, while the Volt seems to make more of a question mark shape. So it kind of goes vertical, and then it kind of starts curling a little bit to one side, mainly the left. So I kind of see more of a question mark shape versus a more straight up, maybe a tree, if you guys want to put it like that, of the R9. I see a lot of that in a lot of these clips that you guys are seeing. So those are really the recoil patterns. They're not ridiculously different, but I think from anyone that's played, you can kind of get used to the Volt recoil pattern a little bit easier. So another point to, you know, distinguish to attack between both of these guns is we have to discuss the bullet drop. So the bullet drop, for those of you that don't know, is how the bullet drops at a certain distance. And statistically, and we just know, light ammo is the one that has the earliest bullet drop. So the bullets are gonna start dropping at an earlier distance. Energy has almost no bullet drop. So energy ammo goes very far, very straight. You shoot it and it's gonna keep going for a very far distance. Versus light ammo is gonna start dipping. So if you're gonna shoot at someone that is, I don't know, 200 meters away, you will have to arc your gun a little bit higher than where they actually are so that the bullet dips. You know, it's gonna hit a little curve. While the energy ammo is gonna go almost straight for a while. I did a little bit of it in the firing range. You guys can kind of see it for itself, but mainly that's really the concept. So the energy ammo is just better at a distance, so it's easier and more consistent if, let's say, you use a bruiser, 2x bruiser on your Volt, which again, I actually think is the preferred scope you should have. For the R9, I think you should either use the 1x classic or it should be the Digi. Just a little tidbit, if you guys stuck through this part, that is my preferred scopes for those guns. But in saying that, I do think if, again, you have the bruiser on the Volt and you're going for distance, the Volt is better for more consistently hitting like a spray, versus I think if at mid-range to long range using the R9, it's more of a, it becomes more of a burst gun because it's harder to control the recoil at that time, you know? It becomes more of a hemlock type. So with that, and you do have to, you know, take into account the bullet drop of the light ammo versus the energy ammo. So that's why the Volt is going to be much better at mid-range to long range than the R9, because the R9 is really not meant to be in that. The R9 is more meant to be a close range gun. Like I was saying about the Hipfire, the R9 is a much better up in your face close range gun that I think can even rival some of the shotguns if you're just really good with the R9 at close range, than really running the Volt at all at close range. I just think the R9 is way more consistent. It's a better close range gun, but 100%, even if, you know, I tell you guys I'm a fanboy of the R9, or I think it's the greatest gun ever, which it's not, but, you know, the Volt still has it beat at the mid to long range. So now, if you guys have stuck around the video, I'm going to give you guys my personal opinion and personal preference on these guns. Since the Volt came out and they threw the R9 in the care package weapon, which was a terrible decision, I was like, okay, the Volt's pretty good. It was consistent. It was stronger than the R9 at the time. There was just the issue of the energy ammo when it came out. but it was still a very good gun. It got its place early, and it is a very well received gun that a lot of people like. But as someone that has been using the R9 excessively since season 2, and it became my favorite gun, it is still my favorite gun. I love it. And if you guys have seen some of my live streams, you guys have seen me absolutely pop off with the R9. I make it look so simple and silky sometimes, and there's something about the Battle Pass skin from a season or 2 ago that is just so beautiful when it gets going after a few 1 clips. So for those reasons, also I just love the feel. I feel a master of the recoil. I think skilled enough to where I can really put in still damage at mid range. If you guys saw some of my streams from the other day when I was playing ranked, I was farming up my Evo with the R9 at like a mid to long range. Just you do the small like little bursts. I do that a lot with the R9, and it's maybe 30 damage, but it adds up if you're hitting it. You know, I'm able to still put pressure because I'm used to using the gun. So for those reasons, and for just being good at it, I just really like the gun. It to me just has a better feel to it, and it's just naturally to me just feels like a better gun. Plus, I also know I can depend on light ammo to always be around versus energy ammo. Sometimes can be scarce. And to me, I just really love the R9. So no hate to the Volt. R9, in my opinion, is just a little better. So that's gonna wrap up this video, guys. Let me know in the comments section, what gun do you guys like the most? You know, is it either of these two? Do you guys use another SMG, another gun? Alternator maybe? Let me know in the comments section, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to check out my live streams when you guys can. Check out my other videos, my shorts, all of it. You know, I got all the content for you guys. If there's anything you guys want to see, let me know as well in the comments section, you know? Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Take care. I love all of you guys.